The sun hangs low over the savanna, bleeding crimson and gold across a wild, untamed sea of grass that stretches beyond the edge of forever. The air shivers with sound, crickets weaving their twilight chorus, the faint rustle of leaves in a breeze that smells of dust and freedom. And there, perched on a rise like a statue carved from the earth itself, stands a lion. His mane glows like a crown forged in fire, tangled with the scars of battles won, streaked with the gray of years spent ruling this brutal kingdom. His amber eyes burn, twin flames piercing the dusk, locked on something far below. But wait. Lean in close now. What's that shadow flickering at the edge of your mind? Something he doesn't see. Something dark. Something that's about to turn this hunt into a war for his very soul. Now hold on tight, because I'm about to hurl you into a story so fierce, so alive, you'll taste the dust on your tongue, feel the ground quake under pounding paws, and hear the roar of a king fighting to reclaim his throne. This isn't just about a lion chasing dinner. No, this is a clash of pride and peril, a descent into a nightmare of steel and blood, and a climb back to a dawn you won't see coming. Will he conquer? Will he crumble? Will he survive the trap, coiled in the shadows? You're about to find out, but only if you're brave enough to ride this wild tale with me to the end. Tell me, are you in? Shout it out, yes or no, because we're charging in, full roar ahead. The savanna sprawled beneath a sky painted with the last gasps of day, its golden grasses swaying like a restless ocean caught in the wind's grip. Dust shimmered in the air, a veil that softened the harsh edges of this unforgiving land. Down, by the watering hole, a mirror of rippling silver nestled among reeds, the antelope herd gathered, their delicate forms etched against the fading light. Does dipped their slender necks to drink, fawns tottered on unsteady legs, their ears twitching at every whisper of the wild. They were beauty incarnate, fragile and fleeting, a promise of life dangling just out of reach. And atop his rise stood the lion, nameless yet known, a legend whispered by the wind itself. His ribs pressed faintly against his hide, a silent cry of hunger that had gnawed at him for days. His claws flexed into the dry earth, his tail lashed like a whip cracked by impatience. He'd watched them since midday, his gaze unblinking, his body a coiled spring wound tight by need. The herd was oblivious, sipping and grazing, their innocence a taunt to his empty belly. His lips curled back, bearing fangs worn but deadly. This was his moment, the hunt that would end the ache, the chase that would prove he was still king. He sank low, his belly brushing the dirt, his mane blending with the grass like a shadow given form. The wind shifted, carrying their scent. Warm, earthy, alive, and his nostrils flared, drinking it deep. His muscles tensed, his heart thudded a primal beat. The world shrank to a single thread. Him, them, the kill. Then, with a force that shattered the silence, he erupted, a thunderbolt of muscle and fury tearing down the slope. Dust exploded around him, a storm born of his own rage. The herd scattered, their hooves hammering the earth in a frantic symphony, their bleats a chorus of terror splitting the sky. But one alone faltered. A young doe, her dappled coat trembling, her legs buckling under the weight of fear. She stumbled, her stride breaking, and his eyes locked on her like a predator's prayer answered. She was his. He could feel the victory pulsing in his veins, taste the heat of her life on his tongue. His roar built, a sound to shake the heavens as he closed the gap. 10 strides, 5, 3. But wait, pause right here with me. Can you feel it? That prickle on your neck? That whisper in your gut? Something's wrong. Something's waiting. What do you think it is? Take a guess. Because he doesn't know. And it's about to change everything. The doe darted toward a thicket, her hooves churning red earth into clouds that stung the air. She leaped, a desperate, graceful bound, clearing a snarl of rusted wire lurking in the grass, half swallowed by time. Barbed wire, cold, cruel, a scar left by human hands long vanished, its steel teeth dulled but still thirsty for blood. The lion didn't see it. Hunger was his master now, pride his blindfold. His massive frame surged forward, paws slamming the ground like war drums, shaking the very soul of the savanna. He sprang, his body an arc of raw power, his roar breaking free, a sound to rattle the stars. And then, disaster struck. The wire snagged him mid-flight, its barbs sinking deep into his flesh like a traitor's kiss. His roar twisted into a scream, a primal wail of shock and pain that echoed across the plains. He crashed to the earth, steel wrapping around his forelegs, his chest, his thick, neck tangling tighter with every thrash. Blood welled, dark and hot, painting his golden fur in streaks of defeat. He clawed at the trap, his paws raking the dirt, bending the wire, but each move drove the barbs deeper, shredding muscle, scraping bone. The doe vanished into the dusk, her hoofbeats a fading taunt. The herd was gone, swallowed by the haze. The hunt was lost, and he, the king of all he surveyed, was pinned, a trophy caught in a snare, not of his making. The sun climbed higher, a merciless tyrant glaring down, baking the blood into his wounds until it cracked like clay. Flies swarmed, their buzz a cruel hymn mocking his fall. His tongue lolled, dry as the dust beneath him, his breaths shallow and jagged, each one a battle against the pain. He fought, oh how he fought. His claws tore at the wire, snapping strands, bending steel with the strength of a god. But every victory was a wound, every roar a plea swallowed by the wind. Hours bled into one another, the sky shifting from gold to a bruised purple, then to a black velvet studded with stars that watched in silence. His strength ebbed, his growls softened to whimpers, each sound a crack in the armor of his pride. For the first time, he felt small, fragile, mortal, a shadow of the terror he'd once been. The hunter had become the hunted, not by fang or claw, but by his own arrogance, by the wild's hidden teeth. Night deepened, the air growing cold, sinking into his bones. Thirst clawed at his throat, sharper than the barbs in his skin. His vision blurred, his head sank to the earth, matting his mane with blood and dirt. Memories flickered like ghosts, chases won under this same sky, rivals driven off with a single snarl, cubs he'd sired who'd carried his fire into the world. Was this his end? Not in a blaze of glory, not in a clash of titans, but here, alone, broken, forgotten. Despair wrapped around him, heavy as a shroud, pressing him down, and yet beneath it a spark. A faint, stubborn ember of will flickering against the dark. But then, stop, listen with me. What's that? A rumble, low and growing, slicing through the night stillness. His ears twitched, his heart stuttered. Can you hear it too? That hum, that growl, that flicker of something, hope or doom. What do you think's coming? Salvation or the Reaper's call? Hold that thought, because the answer's rolling closer, and it's about to rewrite this story. Dust swirled on the horizon, lit by the faint, eerie glow of headlights cutting through the dark. A jeep roared into view, its engine snarling like a rival beast daring the silence to fight back. Men spilled out, rangers, their khaki uniforms patched with sweat and dirt, their faces carved with lines of awe, fear, and something softer. They saw him, not just a beast in a trap, but a legend brought low, a scarred king whose eyes still burned with a fire they couldn't name. They whispered among themselves, voices tight with the weight of the moment. Careful now, one said, his tone sharp as he steadied a rifle, not to kill but to calm. His hands shook, betraying the calm in his words. Another gripped shears, their blades flashing like shards of moonlight, his breath hitching as he edged closer. A third knelt nearby, his dark eyes meeting the lion's, wide with something like reverence. Hold on, old boy, he murmured, his voice cracking like a branch under strain. We've got you. You're not done yet. The lion snarled, weak but defiant, his lips curling back as the dart struck his flank. His vision swam, his limbs grew heavy, but that fire in his gaze never wavered, not for a second. The rangers moved in, slow and deliberate, their hands trembling but sure, their breaths held as if touching a myth made flesh. Snip, snip, snip. The wire groaned, resisting, then surrendered, peeling back from his torn flesh strand by strand. Blood oozed, dark rivers staining the earth, but freedom sang in its wake a quiet, fierce melody. With a final tug, the last barb fell, and he collapsed, free, alive, trembling like a storm breaking at last. The ranger stepped back, their eyes locked on him, their chests rising and falling in unison. He stirred, slow and painful, his legs shaking as they found the ground again. His wounds screamed, his body ached, but his head lifted, high, proud, unbroken. His mane, bloodied and ragged, framed a face transformed, not by defeat but by something deeper, something earned. His eyes burned, not with rage, not with hunger, but with a quiet, piercing clarity, a wisdom carved in pain, a gratitude forged in survival. He'd faced the jaws of death and walked away, not as a conqueror, not as the king he'd once been, but as something more, a survivor, a student of the wild's cruel lessons. The rangers watched in silence as he limped into the darkness, his silhouette swallowed by the night's embrace. One wiped his eyes, a quick swipe against the dust or something else. Another clapped a hand on his shoulder, a wordless bond. "He'll make it," the rifleman said, his voice thick, rough with emotion. "He's too damn stubborn to die, too damn strong to let this be the end." Days bled into weeks, weeks into months. The lion hunted again, not with the reckless fury of youth, but with a measured grace, a patience he'd never known before. His scars told a story, etched into his hide like a map of battles fought and lessons learned. The savanna carried his tale on its winds, the king who fell into the trap of his own pride, the king who rose from the ashes of despair, the king who learned that strength alone wasn't enough. Patience, caution, resilience, these were the true crowns of the wild, heavier than muscle, sharper than fang. He roamed, a living legend, his roars a hymn to the scars that shaped him. The wire had been a trap, yes, but also a mirror, a teacher, a brutal gift. It showed him his limits, then dared him to push beyond them. And he did. He stood taller for it, not in height, but in spirit, in the quiet power of a soul remade. So, here's the question. Look inside yourself for a second. When the world throws its wires around you, when the chase turns to chaos, when the throne you've built crumbles beneath your feet, what will you do? Will you thrash and fall, let the barbs sink deeper? Or will you wait, endure, rise again with scars that scream your story? Shout it out. What's your choice? Because out there, in the vast savanna of your own life, the hunt never ends. Those scars, those moments that break you, what will they say about you? Think about it. Let it burn in you. Because this isn't just his story, it's yours too, if you dare to claim it.